This podcast is brought to you by Barry's Tea. Recently, I visited the home of Barry's Tea in Cork and saw firsthand the skill and expertise of their master blender, making sure that every cup of Barry's Tea is of the highest quality. As a chef, I'm obsessed with flavour, and for me, Barry's Tea is the best tasting tea in Ireland. More than that, it also brings with it a sense of home, belonging and connection. Just one sip of Barry's Tea and you're home. So stick the kettle on, make a cup of Barry's Tea and enjoy the podcast.
Go-to is an oat flat white, but I didn't want to be too fussy today. I didn't want to be a princess.
We have options. Tom's a great man for an oat flat white.
I didn't want to be a princess being like, oat flat white please. I'm like, double espresso. No, I drink a lot of coffee.
And is that something, like obviously in my job, it's like I drink 8 a day?
Okay,
6
no,
and 8.
I'm not that bad. I'm trying to cut back because I was like, oh, it doesn't affect my sleep, but it does affect my sleep. I was just in denial. So I might have like 3 a day, but then on competition day, that goes out the window. I'll have like caffeine gum, coffee, Red Bull, caffeine tablets, a lot.
And that's what most people do.
Yeah, most people do. Like, again, it's so funny because, like, you know, it's like, oh, you're trying to get the best out of your body, eat well, body's a period and blah, blah. But then come race day, it's just like caffeine, sugar, whatever can give me energy. So,
and then you completely collapse after. I assume you collapse after a race.
Yeah, you don't really sleep that well for the night after, obviously, because you're literally after 500 mgs of coffee. But yeah, you do kind of collapse. But then you get up again, more coffee, and you're good to go. I'm not comparing it to like working in a high-end kitchen, but it sounds similar. That you're building to a service, and then you go home and you're just like on the couch, wide awake. You're just like, very similar. I never thought the chef world and the athlete world will collide, but no, it's very similar. The whole day
builds to this moment where you just go for like 3 hours, and then people go, "Do you just go home and go to sleep? You're on your feet all day. You must be tired." And you're like, no, I'm absolutely buzzed.
Wired. I'm my most productive then at 2 a.m. Like after a race, I'm like, I suppose I should look at that tax stuff now. Like that's a good time to look at that. Yeah.
So you gave me coriander.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I was like, that makes sense.
Really?
'Cause for me, coriander is like the quintessential health food.
Okay, interesting.
All I think of is like sprout or salads.
I literally just ate there before I came here.
There you go. Southeast Asian food, just like clean, healthy eating. And I was like, of course, an Irish Olympian would pick coriander.
That's so funny.
But then I was like, what the F-U-C-K do you do with coriander as a one bite? And then I just thought, well, guacamole.
And I love Mexican food. Honestly, it's perfect.
Corn tortilla chips, which like that gluten-free element, trying to think of all that. So that was my attempt at coriander. So talk to me about coriander. Why?
I feel like coriander is like, it divides a lot of people. Some people are like, what, it tastes like washing up liquid. I love it. Coriander and lime, I literally put into like every single dish. I just love like zesty kind of fresh flavours. And yeah, I suppose I don't know, as an athlete, you like try to make things healthy, but you want like flavour as well. So it's like, okay, I won't put loads of salt in it, I'll try something else. So I think that's how I like slowly got into coriander. So
because that'd be my thing. You assume like it's that thing of healthy food is flavourless food. What is your sort of build up to Olympics? What are you eating day in, day out? Yeah,
so this is where like my coach, he is one of those people like food is just fuel and that's that. So then when he sees me, when I'm like, oh sorry I'm late to training, I was just like slow cooking this thing for like 8 hours, he's like, what the hell?
He's the nemesis of the chef world.
Yeah, literally. I love food. I love making it healthy. I feel like I definitely call myself a foodie, and I feel like I got into like cooking and everything probably when I came to college and was like finally like, you know, cooking for myself and like experimenting and stuff. And it's also like collides with when I started taking athletics more seriously. So I feel like it kind of was when I was like, okay, I want to say a burger, but I don't want to go to wherever to buy a burger, so I'm going to try and make it healthy. So I feel like that's how I got into cooking and everything. And I can't remember what you asked me. What was it?
Do you cook?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and so leading up to the Olympics and everything, it's still, my food is definitely not like boring or whatever. Like I'm such a big advocate for like, healthy. It's not boring. Healthy can be tasty, fun, delicious, everything. And I try to mix it up. Like I kind of hate having the same thing 2 days in a row. Okay. So I'll try to mix it up. Not great for my time management sometimes when like, you know, it probably is better just to make something in batches and stuff. But I find food and cooking fun.
And you grew up in Wexford?
Yeah.
And so you go to college you came to Dublin for that, did you?
Yeah. DCU.
And was that when you first started to go, I have to start cooking meals for myself every day here?
Yeah, it was. Like my mom, she's such a brilliant cook. Like she would always make like, remember like I'd say, oh, that sounds so nice. And she's like, I made you that before when you were 6. I'm like, come on, I don't remember that. So she was always like experimenting with food. We definitely didn't grow up just having like, I don't know, spaghetti bolognese or, you know, random curry like every Tuesday or something. Like she definitely like cooked lots of different foods. She's a really good cook. And then I didn't really have to cook that much at home. So then when I came to college, that's when I started like experimenting, starting to cook for myself. When I started off, it was very, very plain, just like...
That's kind of the common story though of people who go to college and it's all of a sudden have to feed themselves.
Yeah. Like it started off very plain. You know, you're plain chicken and rice and everything. And slowly just like, I think I became more conscious as well. I started taking my athletics more seriously. So I wanted to make sure I was eating healthy, but also like something flavoursome, something fun. And actually a few of the girls I lived with in college, we were in the same training group for athletics and everything at DCU, and we would do like a cooking group. So say it was 4 of us, I'd cook Monday, Anya, Kelly and Kate would cook another day, and they were really good cooks. So I think it kind of got a bit competitive then. I was like, oh, I don't want people to be like disappointed.
Like, come dine with me almost.
I didn't want them to be hating it when it was like my turn to cook. So it got a bit competitive, and that's when I think started using my coriander and my lime and everything.
I should probably introduce you. I feel like we haven't even got to that. I was doing the research and I was like, okay, Irish athlete sounds so mundane, and that changed then in 2021 to Irish Olympian. I do want to ask you how that feels now or at the time. And you kind of rose to, I say, wider prominence. I don't know, I would say in the relay team in the recent Paris Olympics, but that's from the outside looking in. I don't know, did you feel that after coming out of the Olympics that there was, I don't know, more of a following or more of people taking notice of what you do?
Yeah, I mean, even to look at like numbers wise, my Instagram following like tripled, not to bring it all down to that, but like
that's a number, isn't it?
Literally tripled. So yeah, there's definitely like athletics altogether. Like I think particularly women's athletics from the Paris Olympics, it just absolutely skyrocketed. Everyone's an expert in it now. Everyone's a fan, which no, honestly, it's great.
But you were the story of the Olympics for me and a lot of my friends. It was this female 4x400 meter reel. That was the story. I've spoken to people on this podcast. You're going to be on reeling in the years. Like, have you thought about that? No,
it's crazy. That actually never entered my head. Oh my God.
And that when it comes to notable Irish people, you're really not notable unless you've been on Reeling in the Years. Reeling in the Years and the Late Late Show, then you've made it. Yeah. Have you done the Late Late Show?
Not yet. Maybe. Shout out.
Yes, I'd say it could be coming in the new season. Well, you're here. I wanted to start off. Usually I leave quick fire questions to the end, but just because I haven't met you before, just to get a bit more of a sense of Sophie the person, I usually do these quick fire questions. Right. I haven't prepped you in them at all. They're not hard. They're really simple. First one would be, what did you have for dinner last night?
Okay. I had a tube of Pringles and a bagel. It's off season, okay?
Okay, explain that to me.
So I haven't raced since the Olympics. It's my off season, which basically I'm like free for all. I get to eat all the crap that not that I don't eat during the year, but I really indulge, let me say. And I was craving a packet of Pringles and a bagel last night, and that's exactly what I had. So instead of eating usually for like fuel and performance, I'm literally just eating whatever I want.
That must be such a joy this period now.
Such a joy. And I know like when I can literally have anything in the world and I chose like a tube of Pringles and a bagel. I know, kind of random, but that's what I was craving last night.
And when you're in camp, like do you have to get the weighing scales out and start weighing certain foods when you're training? How does that work?
So I'm not big into like counting my calories or anything like that. I suppose the one thing I would make sure is I get enough protein and enough carbs, because that's what I need to fuel me to recover and everything after a session. So I have an idea of what, a serving of carbs looks like, a serving of protein looks like. So no, I wouldn't be there weighing things or anything like that. I just think, it's fun for me. It's, as I said, it does fuel me and it enhances my performance and everything. But I think you can very easily, if you start like weighing your food and everything, I personally think you can get like, it can start kind of starting to control your life. You can get like a bit obsessive about it. I check in with a nutritionist like once a month. So, if I can tell there's certain things, like if my training isn't going well, okay, we'll look at my nutrition. Was I fueled enough? Did I eat the right things for that? So no, I wouldn't be there like weighing my stuff. Like I said, I have, I think, a good knowledge of nutrition now and what I need.
Is that from being in it, or do you go learn that? I'm surprised. I just assumed that it was regimental, this Irish Olympian, that everything would be.
Now look, again, I don't want to speak for everyone.
Yeah.
That's just me, and that's how I like go about my food and nutrition and everything. I think it's a mixture of things. Like I think, like I'm 27 now, I've been in the sport a long time. I've been working with my nutritionist a long time. So I think just like experience in it, like, you know, I've learned what I need. If I have a certain session, I know what I can eat. I know like what I should eat, so I won't be seeing it again when the lactic acid and everything hits after the session. So yeah, I think it's just experience. It's, yeah, I've been working in like a high performance environment with really good people for like a good few years who provide you with so much knowledge. So I think it's a combination of that stuff.
Do you ever go into races not prepared, and is there a moment where you go, oh shit, I'm not where I need to be here, I'm wrecked, I've had too much caffeine, I've had too little this, too little that?
Definitely. Like I'd love to say every race I go to has been like this picture perfect thing, you know, like nothing bad has happened, I've gotten the right amount of sleep, everything, but that happens rarely. And honestly, the Olympics is actually kind of where that kind of happened for me. Like I had 5 races at the Olympics and the fatigue was hitting in. I wasn't getting like the best sleep I should be getting because, you know, the caffeine, the nerves, everything is building up. But I think adrenaline just kicks in, and regardless of how much sleep you've had, or like if you maybe haven't eaten the best amount, like I think adrenaline just kicks in and you get around the track. Like thankfully I only do 400 meters. I think I couldn't easily say that if I was like doing 10k or something. I think if you didn't prepare properly, you'd be paying the repercussions. Like there's definitely races that I feel better afterwards because, you know, I've gotten everything perfectly right in the lead up to it. But then there's races that I haven't gotten everything right and I'm still fine afterwards.
Do you can win races without perfection?
Yeah, I think you can. Like, I mean, I don't strive to do that. Like, I think when it comes to race day and stuff, I try to have everything like as perfect as it can be. But I think you can't like rely too much on it because, I don't know, the way the world is, like even in this sport, like stuff can go wrong. Like it can start raining. The hotel I'm staying at in the Czech Republic mightn't have what I usually have for breakfast. Yeah. So I think like you can't rely too much on it. Like it's great when it all does come into, you know, it all aligns perfectly, but that doesn't happen that often. So I think you can very easily like become like, you know, superstitious about things like, oh, I need to have X, Y, and Z to run well. So yeah, it's a work in progress. Like if I'm somewhere and they don't have maybe certain cereal that I want on race day or whatever, like you do have to kind of think on your feet and be like, okay, well, what else is going to give me like the same nutritional benefit and the same energy and everything, but I can still access it here. So
I want to take you back to the final of the 4x400 meters in Paris, which I think most people listening to this will be familiar with. And it was the classic case that happened very rarely in Irish life, where I can think of things like the Irish cricket team in the World Cup years ago and cycling probably back in the 80s, where we were all suddenly experts in relay racing. And I remember it was Saturday, we actually had friends over, and I think the race was at 8 o'clock Irish time. Mm-hmm. And we had people over for dinner, and it was one of those moments where it stopped and it was everyone turns on the TV, everyone turns the volume up, and you feel like you're in a moment, and we're all like, oh, Becker there now, her PB is this, and we're all experts, but none of us have a clue. And I remember it was such a simple way they did the TV, where you come out in front of the Irish flag. And I don't know, it's just sometimes the simplest things are best. You did get like watching, and having never met you or not been at all invested, if I'm honest, in the sport week to week, apart from the Olympics, you get this goosebump moment where you feel like, wow, this is a big moment. And then I know you ran first, and there's that moment where you're gone down into position for the start, and even on the TV you can get a sense of that silence that descends in the Stade de France. And I remember thinking, oh my God, you've obviously been training, not so much your whole career, but you've been building to this for probably at least 4 years. Mm-hmm. And it's not like there's a next week Olympics in some other sports. So you've got, what does it take you to run 400 meters? Like
50 seconds.
51, less than a minute. That is going to define your last. And I remember thinking, that is pressure like I couldn't even imagine. But what are you thinking at that moment, that sort of 10 seconds between getting set up to the gun going off? What's gone through your head?
Like just hearing you speak about all that, I'm literally getting goosebumps. Like I can just picture the whole thing again, like reliving it there.
And there was I know there was 1.2 million average audience for that specific moment.
Crazy.
Have you a sense of that?
Like I think since we got home, I'm getting more of a sense of it. And just I love hearing people's stories, like your story there about where you were watching it. And like you said, you weren't a fan before this. And
we were all
here you are
experts.
yeah, I know, but like I actually love that. Yeah, it's so funny because my coach, Aideen, she was over in Paris watching, and I was talking to her afterwards, and she was like, they held you for so long, like, and there was this like heartbeat playing throughout the stadium on the speakers.
As if you need that.
I know, it's like dun 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 dun. I didn't hear a thing. It's so weird. Like you're asking me what was going through my head. I set up my blocks. I was standing behind the blocks with my hands on my hips, just kind of swaying back and forth. What
are you thinking at that point?
I'm literally just thinking, I'm trying, like, it's okay. I have this. I kind of talk myself up because let me tell you, like, that's starting your country off on a relay team in an Olympic final. Like that's up there with like some crazy high pressure situations. So I just hands on my hips. I was just like, you have this. I kind of go deaf in those situations. Like I'm just so kind of in the zone, I suppose is what you call it. And I didn't hear the heartbeat. All I'm listening out for is on your marks. And then, I'm in my blocks and I'm literally just staring at the ground, waiting to hear the gun. And I feel like I don't think about too much. It's more so just, you have this, just like that little bit of reassurance. Just do it all again. Like it's the same 400 meters that I've ran how many times before. Not that much actually goes through my head.
It sounds like you've switched off your brain. You're actually gone into a zone.
Yeah.
And when you come out in front of that flag, are you at that point in the zone, or is there a moment where you kind of switch your brain off?
I think it's when I'm trying to think. So, no, we came out in front of the flag. The cheer we got, like, France obviously got the biggest cheer. Ireland got hands down the second biggest cheer. Like there was flags all over the stadium.
I assume that's the biggest crowd you've run in front of?
Oh yeah, I've never ran in front of something like that, and like it's the closest we're ever going to get to a home games. You know, like it's the Irish presence there was crazy. And I think once. So we ran out. The forwards ran out. Once I parted ways with the girls, that's when I really switched off my brain. Okay. Like we're off the track for like 3 hours beforehand, warming up. We're in like a call room where you like get race ready, put your spikes on, your bib on, everything like that. So like slowly as the evening progresses, you're like slowly shifting towards like that real like in the zone, like race ready. But I think like the real like where I shut off everything in my brain, it's probably for only 5 minutes, I'd say, before the race. So
you run 50 points?
I did 50.9, I think. Yeah.
Which is on your personal best or close to your?
It's actually faster than my personal best, okay. But because it was run in a relay, it doesn't count as my,
So you basically run faster than you've ever run before for 400 metres. And you hand off to Rashida.
Mm-hmm.
And what goes through your mind when the baton's gone?
Oh, I think there's a picture. I'm literally like, I hand it over to Rashida and I'm just like, go. It's a terrible picture. Because I'm just like, go, like it's just not flattering at all, but it just shows I don't know where I got the energy from after 400 metres to shout that at Rashida. And like just I suppose the relief, I made it round in 400 metres. I got us out of the blocks, I got around, I handed it off to Rashida in a really good position. So the relief, and then also like the excitement, like I know Rashida, she's a world-class athlete, everyone knows Rashida, I know she's going to do her job, and that's exactly what happened. And like being the first runner, like it's nerve-wracking, you know, you don't want to be the one to false start or anything, but then once you've gotten away, you have the best seat in the house to watch the whole race unfold. Like
what does that feel like then?
Oh, I was in disbelief. Like I don't think I was even like jumping up and down. I was just like kind of frozen, standing there watching, and then slowly like Rashida would join me, Phil would join me, and then we stood there. That's when we started screaming when we saw Charlene had the baton and everything. So,
and is there conversation between yourself and Rashida and then Phil at which point you're together? Are you talking about what you're seeing, or is it just watching? Just watching. We're like, oh my God, there's probably a lot of cursing, like just really, it's raw, like it's so raw what's happening. I don't really want to ask you about the result. I'd love to know your thoughts now. We're recording. What are we? We're over about a month from.
Yeah.
What are your reflection on it now?
Yeah,
That particular race.
I still can't believe we all cried on live TV. But anyway,
It's great. It's going to stand to you.
Yeah, it will.
But it's
hopefully.
real.
Character building.
It's real. Like, as I said, you've built up for 4 years to this moment.
Yeah, no, I think like it was received well. Like everyone saw how much it meant to us. Like I think people cried with us. Like so,
I'd say there was plenty of tears at home watching.
Yeah, no, there was, and yeah, I think like as the weeks have moved on, like it was such a bittersweet moment. But now we're seeing the sweet in the bittersweet. Like instead of we're fourth at the Olympics, we were fourth at the Olympics. Like that is the most. I never thought I'd be able to call myself an Olympian. Fourth place at the Olympics. Like I never thought I'd be able to do that. So I'm so proud. Like I just the excitement and everything when I like even just recounting this, like it still brings me so much joy. The nerves are still there, the excitement, and like we're so hungry. I think like after all that, how close we got. Like the good thing is in the athletics calendar, there's another race in a few months' time.
Yeah.
So the World Championships will be next year in Tokyo. So yeah, like.
And when does it flip the mindset from the emotion of finishing fourth in Olympics to, okay, how do we go 1, 2, 3 better down the line? Does it take a while?
I think just time. Yeah, I think like coming home, actually just getting to enjoy, the post-race celebrations, the post-Olympic celebrations, actually just getting to enjoy it. Like having conversations like this, hearing people like where they were watching it, someone who never had anything to do with it before, and now they're like, a huge fan. Like hearing things like that just help, and you realise what a big impact it had. And
how does that sit with you? Because like you're even in the last 4 weeks from chatting to my group of friends, people in work, pubs, cafes, like it's the talk of the town, and you do become a role model.
Yeah.
Do you feel that, or how does that sit with you?
Like I haven't felt, oh my God, a huge change, like a huge switch, like that. But I definitely am more conscious, like as I mentioned, the more Instagram followers, obviously you're conscious of that. And I have been out and about, and people come up to me, and I'm like, oh my God, I look terrible. I don't have any makeup on. Why is this happening now?
Would that have happened prior to the Olympics?
No, it wouldn't have.
So who have you met? Come on, what sort of people have you?
Oh, just like randomers. Nobody in, like, I don't think any big names or anything. Just like out for lunch with my friends or whatever, and people would come up and say like, oh, I loved watching you. Like this happened while I was watching it. Just those little stories are really nice. And then like all the messages you get on Instagram, just like, parents saying, oh, their kids haven't gone, they've quit loads of sport and now all of a sudden they've gone out for a run. Or my sister's actually a teacher, and she said that her friend is teaching in a school up in Dublin, and usually the classes are like 1A, 1B, 1C, and this year the classes are called Becker, Maudsley, Adeleke and Healy, which I think I was like, that's cool. Like that's really cool. Yeah, just hearing all those little stories. So like I'm definitely conscious, like I want to have a good impression. Like there's young people following me. I think they're so lucky that they have, the likes of Instagram or whatever to follow people who they look up to. But I think then like we have a responsibility to make sure that we're sharing like good content. And like even when it comes to food and stuff, like if I have ice cream or chocolate and stuff, I make sure to share that as well as if I have a salad or something, because a 15-year-old girl can look at that very easily, look at us running in our crop tops or whatever on the big stage and be like, okay, they obviously only eat salad to look like that, It can really easily translate that like that. So I am very conscious of what I share.
I come into this assuming that sort of, from my ignorant stance of Irish Olympians or athletes in general, from food perspective, must just be fuel, and you eat very little for what you need to do.
Yeah, like, which it's actually like the complete opposite, because you need so much fuel. Like some days I could be training at the track in the gym for 6 hours. Like I need to eat so much to get me through that whole training day. So yeah, I think like just being really conscious about food and everything like that. And like I get lots of questions about food and what I eat, and like what would I eat for like this sort of session. So I don't mind sharing it, but I just like really want to preface that like, this works for me. This is what I do. This is not what I do every day. Like I just think that's really important. And I think like
it's a lot of self-awareness. Not everyone has that.
I don't know though. I think like the world has kind of gotten better with that. Like people aren't, I don't know, even probably like 5 or 6 years ago, there wouldn't be that awareness with like a lot of people, but I think most people are aware of that now.
Tell me then, after is there a night out? Is it an anticlimax? Is it a massive party? Like, how do you celebrate, or are you still like fourth, or how does it?
Well, I sound like this because I'm still paying the price for for that night out. Yeah, so there's like O'Sullivan's. It was an Irish pub in Paris, and it like ended up being like the fan zone, like, and so that's where everybody was going for like the whole games. Like all the Irish fans were going there to celebrate, to watch the different races and everything. So that is exactly where we headed afterwards. It was the fastest turnaround you've ever seen for a group of girls. We literally had the makeup done, obviously, from the race, changed clothes, got a slice of pizza in the food hall back at the village, and then we were gone. Yeah. And great night.
Blur or a
bit of both, bit of a blur.
Not from alcohol, but just like, I'm sure people are just all over.
Yeah, no, it was. And like the Irish pub, like it's where all the fans went as well. So like there was obviously a lot of people there who are such big fans of athletics, and there was actually like American athletes trying to get in and Belgian athletes, because the Irish pub was the best, obviously the best crack in all of Paris. They were all trying to get in there as well. So it was a great night. I think it was like 6 a.m. maybe when we got out of there, and then I think we were live on RTE a few hours later. Yeah. So that was interesting. Yeah, a lot of caffeine to get us through that. But it was nice. Like we celebrated that night. It wasn't a pity party by any means. Everybody was so happy for us, so kind, and that was a celebration, definitely.
Take me back a little bit to not so much childhood. Like there's a quick fire question I always ask here of what you would have had like in your lunchbox growing up. I don't know if you would have had anything off the chart, or was it the usual sandwiches and the... I
remember I had sandwiches, but I remember I'd always have like salami sandwiches. So my dad is German, and I don't know.
Oh, Mom, it's okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Makes sense,
yeah.
Becker.
Boris Becker. I'm always like, oh yeah, Boris Becker is my uncle. He's not. But sometimes people actually believe me. I also had salami sandwiches. I remember coming home to my mom being like, I don't want salami sandwiches, because it was obviously different. I think everyone else was having like everyone else was having like ham and cheese. So that's all I remember. But I definitely also had a good lunchbox. Mom was very good for the snacks and everything. We were all really active, going from football to hurling to athletics to this and that. So
no, you play everything.
Everything, your typical like Irish child, I think, growing up in the countryside. Everything, you're thrown into everything after school. Same as all your friends. Everyone was going to camogie. Yeah. Everyone was going to soccer afterwards. So thrown into everything. And then I was terrible at it all. Hence why I ended up doing athletics.
I don't believe that.
I was. Honestly, my hand-eye coordination is terrible. So thankfully I figured out I was fast.
You have to pass a baton.
It's bare minimum. Thankfully I figured out I was fast, because otherwise I don't know what I'd be doing.
When did you figure that out?
I remember doing a school sports day. I was probably around like 9 or 10 maybe. And there was another girl in the class, Maria, one of my friends, and she was like the fastest in the class. And I remember I beat her that day, and that was such a big deal, beating the fastest girl in the class.
What age are you at that point?
I think I was 10, yeah. And
that was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
So the competitive edge is starting to show.
That was a big deal. So I started doing like community games, kept doing that, and went to secondary school, kind of took it a little bit more seriously. I was training 3 days a week now for athletics, and I'd have a competition at the weekend, and that kind of stayed at that level.
All the other sports have gone at this point.
I think when I was about like 16, I solely focused on athletics. It was more so of, I think, like, I had other junior cert to study for, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, big things like that. And to be honest, I didn't really like the other sports as well. Like, I loved athletics and I loved running, probably because I was good at it. But when I say good at it, I still wasn't like, I didn't win my first All-Ireland until I was about 19, but I felt like I was better at it than like the other sports. And I can't really describe it. I just really enjoyed running fast, and I just enjoyed, I think, I identified that I like being in control of things.
Yeah.
I don't think I was like 13-year-old like properly identifying that, but you know what I mean? I was like, okay, I like being in charge of like my training. If I want to run really fast, like it's up to me, rather than in a team sport, win, lose or draw. Yeah, you're all together. Which I think then when you go to the relay, then you do have that team aspect with that. But I think I just liked being in control. And that's how I slowly ended up just doing athletics.
I'm surprised it was 19 before you won an All-Ireland.
Yeah.
I would just assume that anyone who appears in the Olympics has at every grade the whole way been the number one.
Yeah, I was definitely a slow bloomer, that's for sure. But there was actually a good few on the team in Paris that weren't, excelling, weren't like your golden child growing up. There was a good few of us who were, your slow bloomer, going through the years. Like, I didn't get my first win until I was about 19. And my first cap, I think I was like 21 for my first, when I made my first Irish team. Yeah, it is. Like, when in athletics, there's like junior, which is like under 20. So like kind of 16 to 19. And that would be when, I saw like a lot of my teammates or people I'd be running against going getting their first Irish cap, going off to like the World Under 20s in like Poland or something like that. And I'd be like, oh, I really want to do that. But I wasn't like, I wasn't disheartened that I didn't make it. I think it like subconsciously just like made me want to get better. Again, I wasn't there making this decision that that's going to be me one day, blah, blah.
But is there an underlying piece of like, I should be going to that trip to Poland and I need to...
Yeah, I think what just kept me going was I just know I could get better. Like just athletics, it's times. It's very easy to see if you're getting better, your times go down. And I think that's just what kept me going. And then alongside, like, I slowly saw instead of coming like last in a race, I was coming second last. Like, you're just slowly like tipping away. And I think, I don't know, it sounds so stupid, but I think just deep down I knew that I could like get there one day. Did I ever picture it being fourth at the Olympics or excuse me, it being the Olympics at all? No, but I just kind of...
Did it not though? Like, no. I'm looking at the Olympics tattoo on your arm as well. Like, was it always, I'm going to get to the Olympics at some point? Obviously, that's the pinnacle of your sport.
Yeah. No, it's probably not the answer that you want or
it's interesting.
Yeah, I just knew like, oh, I can keep getting better. I didn't know what that better would be or where that better would bring me. But it was probably... I would say when I got my first cap when I was 21, so it was for European under 23s, I got my first Irish vest. And that was probably when I was like, oh, okay, like the Olympics are in 2 years' time or whatever. So, oh yeah, maybe I could be looking at that. Like I still had like a big jump to make in terms of times and everything. But that's probably when I started maybe looking at it. It wasn't, up there on the wall like I'm going to this. But I think I just slowly started like chipping off at my times and then I slowly started realising what was possible. Yeah.
How does it feel then when you do get selected finally for your first Olympics? Or is there a moment where you go, oh my God?
So that was it was the Tokyo Olympics was postponed to 2021 because of COVID and everything. So it was still like such strict COVID rules. Like, we had to do so many tests before we like even managed to board the plane to go to Tokyo. So I think the suspense, I think I finally did like the last COVID test and I was like, oh, thank God.
Actually, I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
Sure. It's kind of on hold, the feeling, because you might not get there.
Yeah, exactly. And even when we were out there, we had to test every single day. There were so many athletes that they just picked up a positive test and that was it. Their games was over. So, there was that constant like underlying stress for Tokyo. But, it was amazing, to be able to call myself an Olympian. What was I think 24, and my teammate Killian Green was on the mixed relay with me. That was so special, and I think it was a really nice induction. I think to like the Olympic world and everything like that. Like there was a lot of different things. Like there was no crowd, which is crazy. Then when you think of Paris with 80,000 people, but I think that was just nice. I was young again. My first Olympics. It was a nice, a slow transition into the Olympics. And then compared to this year when it was just bam, straight in, 80,000 people, 5 races, 4th at the Olympics, all the media, like it's, yeah.
Will it be your last Olympics?
Oh, such a big question. I don't know. Paris 2028, LA 2028, 4 years away. 4 years is a long time in the life of an athlete. I'd love to be there. I'd love if my body holds up. So we have our sights on it. There's a lot of milestones in between, but yeah, I'd love to make it to LA.
I don't know if shock's the right word. I was very surprised in doing the research from this that everything you've just described there from childhood the whole way up, you also have a real job in Pfizer.
Yeah.
explain how all this works. How do you become an Irish Olympic athlete while holding down a full-time job?
Well, you don't anymore because I just handed in my resignation. So
Okay, there we go.
So I was working in Pfizer, and then in March, just gone.
I've been led to believe as well by people in Pfizer, it's not just any job in Pfizer, it was quite a high-performance job in Pfizer.
God, my head won't fit out the door now. God, thank you. So I was working in drug development in Pfizer, and loved it. But I think just in March, I was working 3 days a week, which I know you're probably like, it's not that bad, but just
But how many days training were you doing?
Yeah, I'm training like 6 days a week, 7 times a week. So it's a lot, and just honestly, like this is very kind of like the meal prep and everything that had to go with that, like to make sure I was still eating right, having everything prepared, the driving to and back. Like I'd leave my house at like 7 a.m. and I wouldn't get back till 10 p.m. Like it was just a lot. So then in March, I decided to take a sabbatical from work, and thankfully they were so understanding and so accommodating. Like it's brilliant. And yeah, like I think it spoke for itself. Like I ran a huge PB, qualified for the Olympics, won a silver medal at the European Championships. So I think it spoke for itself. So I had some big decisions to make then after
That's
Paris.
a huge decision.
Yeah, it is. But I think I got that taste of what it's like to be, full-time, high-performance, elite athlete. And then to kind of go back now to kind of balancing it again, it would be very hard. Like I think it would have to be one or the other. So I think I've like set myself up well for like future Sophie whenever she hangs up her spikes and retires. And I think I have a good CV behind me.
College, I presume college degree to get into the Pfizer job.
Yeah. I studied genetics and cell biology in college. So I think, I've set like future Sophie up well. So I think for now, I just need to, I'm just enjoying the opportunity that life has given me.
That means you dodged my last question, which is the plan to go to the next Olympics. This is quite an interesting decision that was made there.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, look, that's where I'm hoping to go. To be like, God, if I could call myself a 3-time Olympian, I never thought I'd be able to call myself an Olympian full stop. Like that'd be crazy. But I'm looking forward. Like I've never done a full season of being like just an athlete. So it's going to be interesting. I think I'm going to have to pick up a few different hobbies or something, because I'm so used to, going from here to there and everywhere and like just having so much on. So,
But are you there going, if I can achieve that while I work, what could I achieve?
Kind of, yeah.
Full time.
Yeah, that was basically it. So as I saw from taking 6 months off from my sabbatical, what I achieved, then to go into my winter training. So I'll start back training start of October. Winter training, it's the hard work, the graft and everything, like to get a really big
That
block.
in Ireland?
Yeah, it'll be in Ireland. We will go off. I know. Oh, I kind of like it though, and it's like it's raining so hard and you have a horrible session and it's just like, I'm tough, I'm grinding, like, So to be able to like train full time for like the winter season in preparation for next year, I think it just gives me the best opportunity I can get, because like when I'm running, 99.9% of the other athletes are full-time, professional athletes. So I think for so long I tried to kind of fight it and be like, no, like it's not affecting my performance at all. But ultimately I think I kind of had to just accept that, my sleep definitely wasn't my priority. Recovery wasn't my priority. So now I'm getting to prioritise that stuff.
How does that work financially? And excuse my ignorance, you be a...
You can ask it. People are so intrigued. So contrary to some articles that I saw, I am not making... I'm still waiting for that 6-figure sum to arrive.
Where do you collect that?
Exactly. So for the amount of articles I saw being like, relay girls set to make huge 6-figure sum. So
Does that annoy you when you read that?
It's funny. Like, honestly, I think a lot of people are unaware of how little money you make as like an Irish athlete. I think, there is like a small percentage of, your Sha'Carri Richardsons or anyone like that, who Usain Bolt, say everybody knows him. Like obviously he was making a heap of money, but like you don't get into athletics for the money. Like I'd be getting into, I don't know, soccer or something like that if I wanted to.
You don't get into podcasting for it either. Tom's taking all the cash there in the corner. But go on.
Lovely headphones he has on, yeah. Interesting. So I get like funding from Sport Ireland, and then hopefully like if you've had a successful year, that funding is upped. So hopefully from like my individual performance and the relay and everything, hopefully that funding should be upped. And then other little things, so like different sponsorships, like I have a sponsored car, I'll do different things with different brands, like different media things. I think that's where like your Instagram is quite important. Yeah. Like as apart from, you know, I like sharing my life and what I had for brunch and everything. It is definitely like a business as well, and it's my brand.
Talk to me on that.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people going, oh, that's fake stuff and that shouldn't be what it's about. But is that what it needs to be about as well when you get the profile that you've got?
Yeah, like look, if you are an unbelievable athlete running ridiculously fast, your Instagram doesn't come into it. But for the majority of athletes who are really good athletes, but just not that, you know, up there breaking world records, yeah, like it's hard. Like the likes of Nike, Adidas, New Balance, all them, like they don't pay amazingly unless, like I said, you're breaking world records. So to like, yeah, you do need to kind of look at your Instagram. There's huge opportunities that can come from it. Like I've gotten a lot of different partnerships that have come from my Instagram. And
a lot more recently, I assume.
Yeah, definitely a lot more recently. I've done a lot of media things, which I know
you get
can
annoying
be
podcasters emailing you.
Not at all. But like it can be annoying for people if they see, you know, another Instagram goes up like #ad or whatever. But like that is how it's how I'm able to pay my rent, to live up in Dublin, to allow me to train, to allow me to go to the Olympics. So like it is, and like it is tough. Like I think before I properly started taking like Instagram and everything seriously, you know, it's easy to look like an influencer and be like, oh, that's easy, just taking pictures or whatever. But it's hard. Like honestly, like curating like a reel, like putting it together, I'm quite a perfectionist with that sort of stuff. So making sure that's all perfect. Like I could be sitting there on the sofa for like 4 hours doing it, and then my phone has a fit and it deletes it, and then I'm about to throw my phone out the window because I've just sat there for 4 hours and it deleted it. So it's tough. But
do you have people who help you with this, or is this just Sophie Becker, the corporation that you now have become, making it all?
Yeah, so I have now a guy, Mark, he's really good with like videography and stuff like that. So he'll do a lot of my reels now and take my pictures. But then a lot of the other stuff, yeah, it's just me. And like, yeah, thankfully I have like a manager who looks after the commercial side, like the media and different partnerships and like that, because it'd be very hard trying to do all that on your own. But yeah, and I think it is honestly controversial, but I think it is a bit easier for like female athletes to make money from like their Instagram and stuff compared to like male athletes. Like I think, you know, a girl can just post a picture and it kind of blows up for whatever reason, whereas for boys it's like a little bit harder to do that. So yeah, no, I'm lucky to be a girl, I feel like, in this world with like Instagram and everything.
Which isn't always the way.
No, it's not. And like in sport especially, like, you know, you see always such a big divide between men and women's sport and everything. Thankfully, athletics, I think, is one of the very few sports in the world where men's and women's, I would say it's like 49-51. Or yeah, very, 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 very close. Like maybe little things like, I don't know, the men might get like a big light show before a 100-metre final, say at the Olympics, and the women's didn't. So very small things like that. But on the grand scheme of things, it's even. Like I feel so sorry for, you know, the likes of rugby or soccer where like it's just so far apart, the men and women divide.
We've actually spoken with it. Why is it that, as you say, athletics has that pretty much 50-50? I would say like tennis, things like that. And then you've got sports like you mentioned, rugby and soccer, where it's a massive divide. Like, why?
Like from the top of my head, what I've observed, like for athletics, like we all train together. Women train together. Like I'll do reps, like say 200s or something with boys in my training group. So I think like the respect is there from both sides. Like we do the same session. The boys are getting sick on the side of the track. The girls are getting sick on the side of the track after a session, you know, like there's that mutual respect. And then just like,
I want to see that on Instagram.
Yeah, you don't want to see that, honestly. Not a pretty sight. That's the winter training that I talk about, lovely. Not pretty. But yeah, and everything's just done together. Like, you know, we all travel together on the same plane, on the same bus.
Okay.
We all stay in the same hotel. And then of course, like if you're going to watch the men's 100 metres, well, you're going to see the women's 100 metres as well, because that's on right after it. So And everyone wants to know like who the fastest man is in the world, and they also want to know who the fastest woman is in the world. Like I don't know how that's happened, but I think a lot of it is just because we do everything together.
Yeah.
I think is a huge part in it. Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
kind of, it's one of the things I've always thought. Why
Yeah,
some
like
sports
the likes of tennis, I don't know because I'm not in that sport, but I imagine it's, I don't know, they train a lot together. And yeah, it's definitely something I don't take for granted because it's a question I'm asked a lot. And usually it's coming from someone who has experienced like the divide in their sport. And yeah, like fortunately I can say I haven't experienced that.
I just find it fascinating with running that it's such an almost primal, like not that we have anything in common with you guys on the track, but everyone assumes that we can just run. It's like just this basic human.
Yeah.
That's why it's so fascinating to see, as you say, who's the fastest man in the world, who's the fastest woman in the world. Maybe it's the simplicity of that.
Yeah, and like, you know, most people, apart from myself, can do a 5K. I'm a sprinter, I cannot do a 5K.
Dude, well, I was going to ask you, do you just go for a run and you're off? Like,
I wish it was that simple. Yeah, I wish. No. So like, I trained, it's like Monday would be like a track day. I don't know, like 6 300s. Tuesday would be, what's on Tuesday? Like a bike session. So like in the gym. Wednesday is like blocks and acceleration. Thursday is like more speed endurance. Friday's my rest day. Saturday is like speed, like 150s. And then Sunday is hills. So there is no times,
how many
thankfully.
hours a day are you doing?
It depends. Like it could range from say a really short bike session, which could take like an hour start to finish, but between warm up, warm down, the whole thing, to like on a Thursday where there's gym and track, I'm there for like 6 or 7 hours. So it just, it depends. But no, I don't go out and do a run. I remember,
see out in the street on a Wednesday evening.
Absolutely not. And people are so disappointed then because I think, like everyone knows a 5K time. So people are
What is your 5K time?
I don't have one. I was so scared. Do you remember in COVID when everyone was like tagging each other? I was like so scared that someone's going to tag me to do a 5K, like terrified. Didn't happen, thankfully.
Could you run a marathon?
Absolutely not.
No.
No way. Do you know David Gillick?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a 400 metre athlete himself and like European champion, amazing athlete. And he started doing marathons and he says it is so hard. Like one of the hardest things he's done. And he's ran 400s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
not as simple as just running.
No, definitely not.
I'm going to finish a couple of quick fires. I feel like I've taken so much of your time.
Not at all.
Signature dish. If you were trying to impress.
I'm trying to impress. Ooh, what would I cook? Probably like a Thai green curry. I pile it in lime and coriander. Yeah, a Thai green curry, I think, or vodka penne. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. You don't seem too impressed.
No. I never got the vodka penne thing.
Oh no, I love
Seems like a waste of vodka.
Do you
Like, what does vodka do? People ask me
You
that.
can drink the vodka as well.
Yeah. I was like, I'd rather drink the vodka and eat the tomato pasta than put it in. But yeah, no, I like the Thai green curry. It kind of fits in with everything you said in the last one.
The zestiness and everything, yeah.
Takeaway order. Do you have takeaway?
I do have takeaway. So like usually every 3 weeks we get like a rest weekend where we have Friday, Saturday off training. So that's usually when I like will indulge in a takeaway or whatever. Probably Bunsen burger.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Bunsen.
It's class.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, I only had it the other day as well.
What's the order? Go-to order? Double, single?
Double cheeseburger with the shoestring fries.
Savage.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Mayo, ketchup?
Some ketchup and pickles. Yeah.
Savage.
Yeah.
I find it's such an insight.
Yeah.
Then, worst meal of your life?
One that I've had or... Ooh.
It can be the place, the food. Sometimes it's the people.
Yeah, that is a good
And I didn't
one.
give Sophie any tea up on this, so.
I just remember I went to like a race in Latvia a few years ago and everything, breakfast, lunch and dinner was covered in dill. I hate dill to this day from it. Like everything, I'd have like a boiled egg for breakfast, dill covered in it. And like before a race, your stomach it's very sensitive to like smells and taste or anything. And dill was just sending me. So yeah, nothing, not a specific thing, but just yeah, dill in general. Yeah.
But would you drink Sambuca on a night out?
No, I hate Sambuca.
It's that, yeah, it's the aniseed.
Is it?
Fennel, dill, Sambuca.
Oh my God. I'm a tequila. Yeah, I prefer my tequila. That's so
fascinating because my
interesting.
wife is the only thing when I cook for her, she will not eat dill. She goes, it's absolutely disgusting. Do not put dill in it.
I agree with her. I agree with her in that.
And last but not least, I give you a table of 4 people for a dream dinner party.
Yeah.
Who are they?
So I was really thinking about this one. I think I would bring Graham Norton.
Okay.
Tommy Tiernan. You know, bit of laugh, bit of fun. There is an Irish designer called Aoife McNamara. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Oh yeah, she's a lovely little store in Adair.
Yeah, lovely store. Met her a few times. A lovely person. I just find her whole story like so.
She's absolutely killing it.
Yeah, like she is a world-class fashion designer. Like it's crazy, and she's Irish, so I think that's so cool. And then probably I'm going to bring them in as one person, but my 3 coaches, they're coming as one person.
Sitting on top of each other.
Yeah, sitting on top of each other.
Everyone in this podcast tries to squeeze in extra guests.
I'm bringing 2 extra guests. I'm bringing 2 extra guests. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They're just such good crack. And like, so our coaches are Jeremy Durr and Aideen. And yeah, we've been through thick and thin and we're the best of friends. We hate each other sometimes, but they always provide really good crack. So yeah, I think that would be a really interesting dinner. Yeah.
What would the atmosphere be like at that table?
I think it'd be a good bit of crack. My coaches are all about taking the piss out of everything and anyone. And I think like the other guests would get in on it too. So, because I do think about that, I'm like, how would all the guests actually interact as well? So I think that would be a good combination.
Sophie Becker, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Looking forward to LA 2028.
Me too.
I think we've come to the realisation that that's where we're going.
Me too.
And now you can have your guacamole with coriander.
Oh my God, amazing. Thank you so much.
If you like what you heard, you can like and subscribe. You can leave a review of the podcast. And if you do nothing else, you can even just tell a friend. You can also watch our full conversation, including Sophie now stuffing her face, on YouTube. And I will see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Barry's Tea for supporting this podcast. Barry's Tea holds a special place in people's hearts. Not just because it tastes amazing, but because as Irish people, Barry's Tea is one of those special things that connects us with home and that sense of belonging. We drink it in cafes, in restaurants, at book clubs, when we're out hiking. We even bring it on holidays and drink it all over the world. No matter where you are or what you're doing, one sip of Barry's Tea and you're home.